Smells of death. Hello there, you're watching Greg Johnson Making, and today I'm making a wall-mounted bust of the creature from The Ritual. The Ritual is a 2017 horror film directed by David Bruckner and written by Joe Barton, adapted from the 2011 novel of the same title by Adam Neville. I really like both. Comment below if you agree with me on this. I think that each one has a thing that makes it better than the other. In a good way. No spoilers, but the movie has an emotional backstory that I think makes the story better, and the book has slightly more colourfully interesting antagonists, baddies, who I really like, but maybe would look silly on screen. Anyway, if you've both read and watched, comment below, what do you think? The thing I'm making is an homage really to a brilliant monster design. It is just the monster from The Ritual, but if you want to get technical, it is a Jötun called Moda. It's an ancient godlike entity and an offspring of Loki, and I think it's an iconic, beautiful or ugly or both bit of creature design. In the book it's never fully described. It's this very shifting, it's multiple things at once, and I think having to realise that as a 3D solid creature, this design just does that so well that I felt like making it. So first step, gather as many references as I could find. There's a lovely effects turnaround video by Invisible, the effects house who did the award-winning creature design, and I found some photos of the clay maquette that was originally made for that to be built out and scanned from. I did initially have the idea of this ending up as a wood grain, wood effect carving of the creature, but in the end I just wanted to do all the fleshy bits, so it ends up fleshy. I want to say, but don't we all? But that's my go-to like comedy line, is I say something and then I say, but don't we all? It's almost worse than as you do. Almost. What's that, boy? You want to see the video? And it's in your mouth. Do I use this bit? Well, do I? Those are plastic and wire fake plants or twigs. That is a headless pantaloon wearing skeleton. There's my four boys, Electro Man, G.I. John, Snow Mask and Spider Boy. Some real spine parts, real bones, little resin brains, some leftover bits of the Venom action figure, half a giant Ferrero Rocher ball, a black plastic egg, some plastic eyeballs, a load of plastic skeletons, some real deer antlers. They fall off naturally, so you can just buy them on eBay. A couple of toy dinosaurs, a little dragon, some tea lights and some fairy lights. Some I will use, some I will not. So, Electro Man, you got to lose your legs there, boy. Do you agree? Yes, he agrees. I didn't need to saw this man's arms off, but I thought I did at the time, officer. So I was going to just Dremel down those muscular arms and the superhero details, but in the end I thought, no, let's go creepier and let's make some arms out of bits of skeleton. So I chopped off Electro Man's head, heated up this elbow joint from the pantaloon skeleton's leg, arm, and then fitted those inside a larger bit of bone, just stuck in with hot glue. Spotted that this skull has a nice jaw. I'm going to need a jawbone later. There's a sort of jaw pincer thing. It's a bony beast, and while my hot glue is very hot and the glue is very runny, I'm filling this silicone brain mould with hot glue. More on that later. These, we're going to rush through these blue hands because they're too big. I'm heating them up and flattening them and blah blah, but none of these things is making them small enough. I foolishly assumed, which I think is a natural assumption, that the arms are in scale with the torso head, the little lower arms down the front. So all I had to do was move the arms down. So I used the hands from the Electro Man torso, but they're far too big. I should have noticed earlier, and I thought I was okay with it, but they'll be changed, so we rushed through them. Cut a hole in his back. He's got more internal gubbins than I expected, but the back hole is where the neck will go and the lights will come out. Drilled in two holes for the lower arms. Yeah, the lower arms, the front arms, and thought, so the arms don't fall off, let's put one piece of wire all the way through, and the arms both attach onto that bit of wire. It also, if you use wire, then the joint where it's attached will be posable. Rather than, say, putting in a wood screw and just sticking the bone arm onto it, you can't adjust that. But with a wire joint, you can. I've got a hot glue brain, and this is also a hot glue heart. The hot glue heart, is that an Edgar Allan Poe? It doesn't matter. So yeah, these silicone molds, I kind of love these. Just filled with hot glue, and it goes firm very quickly. As you can see, when you get bubbles, you do get these very shiny spots where it didn't quite fill. But anything you're going to texture over, I clearly like it because I've done loads of them. I've got some intestines there for a future build, my next build in fact. A couple of hearts, couple of brains, and it's good. There's a lot of fear of sculpture here. Like here, for example, all I'm doing is adding some points to the front of either half of this jawbone, but I still decide to scratch bash those points off a little bit of that Venom action figure. And I think I would just rather make something out of junk than sculpt it from scratch. I think I'm a bit scared of sculpting and I don't enjoy it very much, so I like to scratch bash things out of junk, as you may have noticed. So I think this is the video where I get quite deft with the old glue gun there. Because this glue gun, the cheapest one you can get, used to have a yellow rubber sort of nozzle on it. That fell off. So now that the nozzle is metal, I'm getting quite good at smoothing out the hot glue and using it as a sculptural medium. I'm thinking of a future build made entirely from hot glue, which could work. Here I'm thinking the problem is that the arms aren't at the right angle. The problem is that the hands are too big. But, so I'm heating up the centre of the forearm and just twisting the hands in a bit. The pose of them is fine and they look nice. They're just 40% too big. They're way big. Another part of Electro Man's torso that is too big is his big beefy arms. I spent quite a long time cutting a diamond shape out of the inner elbow and heating it with a flame and then making the arm be bent and then dremeling off the biceps and trying to make this into a sort of lanky, lean arm. But it was just too big, so I thought I'd use a Spider-Man leg. Whoa, 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 oh Peter! Classic Peter Parker. It's got the lipstick, the white face, the sort of head growing out of his back. Any Spider-Man fan would love that. To punish him, I'm just unscrewing his anus. I mean, it's not, is that a swear word? Did that get you demonetised? And then the miracle of soda glue. Lots of super glue on the back of the joint, pinch it closed, and baking soda to hold his knees in antler mode. And again, blending this joint. See, at this stage, I still think all I'm doing is connecting things with hot glue and it's all going to be milliputted or skinned over with clay. But actually you just get some very nice wrinkly effects with hot glue. So there'll actually be minimal milliput on this one to basically re-smooth out the chest and the arms, but everything else is hot glue and works a charm. Speaking of things I like and that work a charm, my wife has given me a load of acrylic nails and they're just great for bulking out. Model kit of an ant, take the underside of the thorax off and I'm going to use that as the face hole. Groin face, the hood, we'll call it the hood, it's better than groin face, which I'm currently sticking in with hot glue, which I will cut out again to put the lights in, so I did that prematurely, but don't matter. What the devil are these legs? This rubber glove with plastic lobster legs is a thing I made for a short film I never made 20 years ago. That's how long ago. The cuff just ripped off. It was a short film I was going to make of a nightmare my mum had, where she had to kill an insect. And I made the insect and I made this glove to be the kind of thrashing legs. But no, I need it for this. These jaws should be higher up on the side of the body. They're a bit wrong, but that's fine. And I don't mind, is what I'm saying. You can't miss out the teeth from your side jaws, so these are some Venom teeth that I'm going to use later. Now, here we are, reference on screen. It's all looking great apart from those hands down there. Let's use a Hulk hand. Hulk! That's incredible. Snip, snip off at the wrist. Give yourself a round of applause. Using my pin vise, small hand drill, little hole into the Hulk hand, super glue in a little piece of paper clip, drill up into the wrist, super glue. And it's better, I'm happy with it. The other Hulk hand was a fist, and this doesn't seem very moda, doesn't have that much kind of bestial aggression. So this is a white Power Ranger hand, which is roughly the same size. Heating it up, flattening out the fingers, and then to give it some detail, I've just drawn knuckles and I think some little thin veins with super glue. Hit that with accelerator and you've got some ridgy veins. I also do that all down the arms later, and I'm definitely heading towards a project made entirely from glues. I don't know what it is, but I can feel it happening. Antlers made from plastic trees. If you saw my Jabberwocky video where I made a small forest from these plastic twigs, I thought if I cut off all the right branches I can make a pretty good approximation of these antlers. And then for the hooks on the top I just stuck on 2 bits of floss pick, the pointy plastic toothpicks I've got. Pin vise again, small hand drill, drill out some eye holes. These fairy lights, I just thought, I wonder if you can just cut off 8 of them with scissors. And you can. I thought cutting them might break the circuit, but it didn't. So it's just a little battery pack with 2 LEDs attached. And it was so easy. It's unworthy of the Electrocraft ident. Just snipping off 8 fairy lights from a string of 10 with some scissors is not Electrocraft. Does not an Electrocraft make? And by the sheerest of flukes, that white battery pack just fitted through the face hole, and then I hot glued the face back on. This is the neck from some air freshener I was saving for another more techie robotic build. I'll have to buy another one. It's a nice neck, and I'm covering up the trigger hole with some crumpled up brown paper tape and hot glue. Then this is one of my 2 hot glue hearts. I'm a hot glue based Time Lord apparently. Super glue on the neck, activator on the inside of the hot glue heart, and I'm just covering the shoulder with it, just as an experiment to see if it's a nice bit of easy texture. That means I don't have to sculpt, which it is. Come on, pantaloon skeleton, I need your spine. He's now spineless, and I'm sticking these vertebrae down the neck with a bit of hot glue and some soda glue as well for added crustiness. A couple of pantaloon skeletons, femurs, is that your femur? Your arm bones, I don't know. I'm sure the text underneath me will correct me, as sticky up spine bits. And for the facial meat flaps, this is raffia, like thin straw ribbon, which I'm super gluing either side of a little piece of gardening wire, and again just smoothing it down, giving it a leathery texture with some hot glue. And for the smaller flaps underneath around the face, these are just offcuts from around the edge of that hot glue heart, where the hot glue was just thin at the edge of the mould. And they just have a really nice leathery, raggedy texture. So I sort of fished them out of the bin and they were perfect. Filling out the sides of the torso with some brains that just tuck behind the teeth. Now I realise I missed some inner hooks, inner horns from the antlers. So I'm using this little T-Rex tail and making a copy of that from the stump of the tail and just hot gluing them on there. Right, Milliput. So the only smooth bits really are the chest and the arms, which are unnervingly human, as you may have noticed. So yeah, black Milliput. It's not just black, it's also a little bit stickier than white, superfine, a little bit softer, and I like it. This is probably the most I've enjoyed using Milliput on anything. Now once it's gone slightly tacky, which is very quick, it's about 10 minutes, I'm just using first a fingertip and then a dried out wet wipe just to give it this leathery, not too shiny texture. It'll get too shiny in a minute, but a different kind of too shiny, and we'll fix it. We can fix him, we can fix everything. So, had to cut off most of the shoulders. There's not much hot glue heart left on the back there, but this is the angle at which it will come out from the wall. So I just had to chop, it's prime time. Prime time, time for a prime now. Ugh. And then a zenithal too. So this is a zenithal highlight. This is grey chalky furniture paint, not the right paint to use. It was very dusty and basically sort of came off. I don't know why it's not good. I bought it from the pound shop. So I'm hitting this with a highlight from above. So the shadows are underneath. Ooh, fancy. Well, fancy that. So it now has shadows underneath, highlight on top, but a grey highlight. A low light? Quinoa. There is absolutely no reason to stick on these antler bumps, they're not pustules, after the prime, except that I forgot about them. I was too keen, and I forgot that it needs these bumps. Antlers have nodes. So this is different sized, very small half pearl gems and some quinoa, and then skin it all and embed it all in with soda glue. Let's paint. So this is a joy to dry brush. That texture just pops, and it's wonderful. This is Vallejo bone, which I'm putting on the front jaw mandibles and the side intercostal jaw bones. I don't know. I haven't become an expert on Jotun physiology. So this is the kind of not too warm bone colour that I'm starting the dry brush with. All that texture, those hearty veins, and then veins just drawn on hot glue. Pretty proud of this. So now making a warmer grey. This is healthy Caucasian flesh tone with a bit of yellow ochre and then some very blue grey, just a house paint sampler that I've had for years, and just dry brushing that over the fleshier bits and the less bony protuberances, then stippling on a paler highlight version of that over the abs and pecs. I haven't looked closely enough to see if this creature has nipples. I don't think it does. Mine doesn't. Toothbrush pass. Do a toothbrush pass on any paint job. A vehicle, a creature, a sci-fi thing, a fantasy thing, just do a toothbrush pass. and it's so highly detailed and freckly and awesome. So that's a toothbrush spritz with some Agrax Earthshade brown contrast paint. Speaking of contrast paint, I made my own red one with, again, Agrax Earthshade and some drops of glistening blood. So that's just reddening some areas. The Reddening, another very good Adam Neville novel. Creepy. He does creepy so well, and physical discomfort, blisters and wet clothes and toothache and cuts, and yeah. Another toothbrush pass to give it a red left hand and a right hand as well. Dong! Because it has red hands. Because it's been naughty. It's been a very bad boy. Or it's just following its instincts. It's a nature thing, you know, it's not a bad guy. And the same browny red wash, burgundy let's say, wash all over the neck. Because at this stage I already know this whole thing is going to have a skin of Army Painter soft tone brown dip wash. So it's all going to be darker and browner. So it can be quite flesh tone and red and quite bright at this stage. That skeleton horde, the antlers go from sort of grey flesh tone up into brown to black at the tips. And then this is that coating of soft tone dip. You meant to dip the thing into it, but the tin's not big enough. I couldn't afford a tin big enough to dip this in. So I'm learning to love it. It's the right colour, but my word, it's shiny. It's so shiny. So I've now dusted it with a bit of matte lacquer. Because it was so shiny you could barely see the details. It was like this gloss laminated monster. You don't want a laminated monster. I don't want that. Wouldn't wish that on anyone. Then it needs a frame. Is it going to be made of real old wood? No! I'm going to get some balsa wood because it's nice and easy to carve, and make a plastic backing to stick the balsa to that I can just attach a wire to, and it'll hide the split pins. And yeah, this is a very significant symbol seen in the movie in various places. I think it means home. So you learn things when you gather references. I think it means home or our domain or something like that. And I've just used some small split pins and super glue to attach a lovely cork coaster, a flamenco coaster, but your coaster may vary, to the back. Then, as I say, I'm covering over this signboard. It's like laminated soft but thick plastic frame with some balsa, carving in some runes from the movie, coating it with contrast paint, bit shiny, dry brush down to make it look grey and old, and it's ready to be hung up, as are a few characters in the movie, but I won't tell you which because it's a spoiler. Let's take a look at the finished thing. Something tall and lean, but shaggy about its haunches, was risen and poised, with bony arms, long as a stallion's forelegs, hanging before it, and the great shape of its head was raised as if to catch a scent or sound on the breeze. It was waiting for him. The terrible head shape was so long, ragged, a glimmer of headlight flashed across corneas, amber red. He thought it was an impossibly tall man for a moment, or an ape, a large scrawny one poised to pounce like a great cat. But then of it and about it, as it lowered down upon great muscled haunches, and before it fled right at him, were the briefest features of other things. A thick-haired face, black, with a wet bovine muzzle, made itself temporarily available for scrutiny. The almost human eyes filled his mind, eyes curiously sentient, eyes revealing a hideous intent. To merely see them made him whimper. But in the visible moments of its swift charge, it seemed mostly goatish, that shape of a head upon the bullock neck, though the yellow teeth should have been in the mouth of something else, long extinct. And on the second day, things did not get better, but it was the dead thing they found hanging from a tree that changed the trip beyond recognition. So yeah, post below what you reckon, because I'm interested, because I would agree with anyone who thinks the film is better than the book, and also anyone who thinks the book is better than the film. But yeah, if you're watching spooky movies at the moment, it's a recommend. Today's YouTube channel recommendation is Miscast, Trent, who just has a lovely filmmaking style and approach to making minis and models, tries lots of things, will tell you about sculpting and casting, and does stuff on a budget and isn't scared to try things. And yeah, just an inspiring person. A person who... I'm going to stop there because I don't know. Thank you so much to everyone who's bought a Monster Month t-shirt. No one has at time of filming because I only released it this morning, but you know, Hope springs to turtle. Genuine actual thanks to my patrons. I really love you guys, and I can't state it enough. Every single day I am so grateful, because, you know, YouTube monetization and all that, none of that is the way. But having patrons, there are people who care and want me to keep making these, and means the whole wide world. Should I mention it every time? Does it make people sad when you thank your patrons too much? Do we want to pretend? I don't know. Oh, I'm going down a spiral. No, I'm not really. Thank you so much for watching. Lots of love from me, and I will see you soon.